Yo, what's up, aliens? AHEE here. So today I want to show you how I go about creating my live sets. So oftentimes I'm actually planning out my set inside of Ableton and sort of getting like a general flow of what I think I want to do. And then when I'm at the live event, I'll sort of go with the flow and see how it is and see if I need to deviate from one section to another. But I want to show you how I set this up and some of the thoughts that I have behind it. So what I really like to do in my sets is I often change BPM a lot. So if we look here at the mixer, so I go in this set, this was my Halloween set this year that I played in Montana. I go from 100 BPM up to 104, up to 128, up to 150, up to 160, up to 174, and then all the way up to 180 or 90 BPM again. And it sort of does like this full cycle. Sometimes oftentimes when I'm doing like more opening kinds of sets, this was like a headliner set, I'll start off in 90, and this is like what I just prefer, just because staying at 1 BPM the whole set, I just don't really like that. Other artists can enjoy that and they can do that, but I just personally would get bored of playing those kinds of sets. So I'm trying to keep myself entertained up there, and if I can do that for myself, then hopefully other people enjoy it, and it seems to work out pretty well. So I noticed that I just like to up the BPM. I've played a few shows where I go from 150 and I'll start there and then I'll go downwards, and sometimes that's okay. It really depends, on the crowd energy of the crowd and the timing of the set and everything, but generally I've found over the years that I like to go up in BPM, warm people up, and then go from there. Yeah, so often I like to have like about a minute or so of intro time to be like, hey, here's this new thing. So here, it's this track with something. It has this like sort of spooky intro sound, and then it builds up, and then the first drop is this one's a little bit early. Usually I'll have it around the minute mark, but here it is at 40 seconds. And then from there, how do I choose what to go into next? So I always, in my songs, I try to create a mix out section, and so I'll start from there. Where there's not a lot of melodic content going on, but there's like a simple beat, and then I can mix it in with like the Uju, Jorn Moody, Rekno remix I did of Hieroglyphs. Yeah, we pass around the beat like a joint if you're taking them. But actually, I start this song, the song starts here. But I like to mix it in right there, so check this out. Yeah, we pass around the beat like a joint. If you're taking up my time, I'ma hit the invoice. This sort of like, I don't know, it helps speed up the flow of things, so that way we're not just mixing in between things for a long amount of time every single time. Sometimes that's good if like you've had a long section where there's a lot of like danceable drop material, and then you want to like give people like a break. And these are the kinds of things I like to think of ahead. It's like, are people going to be tired in this section? And I have messed this up several times. I think I still, even on this set, I think I tired people out maybe during this section right here when I played this thing, because like I just changed BPMs from 150 to 174 in the course of like 2 minutes or so. There 4 minutes there, and I think that it tired people out from that section. But then this whole bit was amazing, and then this on over here was amazing too. So that's what I experienced live. So it's like good to know to like take into account like where you're feeling, where the energies are, and don't pay attention to what other people say too much. Pay attention to how they react. But also don't overthink it, like people are still going to have fun if you're playing good music. But here I wanted to, add in more horror and creepy kinds of things. So I've got like, my res remix here, but then I'll break this down into an edit that I made specifically for this Halloween set.
I see. I'm watching. I think they're coming for us. Watch out. Watch out. I'm right here. I'm right behind you. Watch out.
So yeah, that's like an example. So what I would do is that I would highlight these sections all together. And then also here you can see in the song I've made an extension edit. There's these 2 bits here. So normally this would break down here. But I wanted to extend it out because I felt like, you know, comparing this section to this next section, I just want people to dance for longer. So I added in the second part of the second drop of this song that's work in progress, and then it's got the breakdown section there. And that's why I like to do a lot, is have like breakdowns that go into the build-ups of another section. So this one would break down into this. And so that's how I do transitions a lot. But if, say, we were to, I want to play this on CDJs and not on Ableton, so I'd turn this into one track. So I hit 0 to mute that track, and 0 to also mute these up here. Here I can just not highlight that. And then, yeah, I'd click from this beginning to this section. So that way anything in here, when I go to render it, I can render that out. And then I'll save that to like a specific folder here in documents. I think I had like a Halloween folder, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't know my LMNOP. Oh, let's see here. Halloween. Oh, great. It's gonna just give me chaos. Okay. No. Okay. Well, somewhere in here, I've got a folder of Halloween edits that I made. Look, you can see some Lost Lands edits that I made. So I have a folder of those things. I like to label them with the name of the song or whatever it is, and then like abbreviation of the show that I'm playing, and then label it as an edit. And then I'll come over here and import it into Rekordbox. And usually I'll just drag and drop it in. Like here's my Halloween set that I played. So you can see here how it goes from 100 BPM, and then goes up to 128, 150, then 160, 174, and then 180 or 90 there. Just like it is over here. But so here you can see that that Fez MT, so those in Montana, so Montana edit. So here I would set up cue points by just basically hovering to a section and then going to the hot cue section over here and creating a hot cue. And then I'll trigger them on the CDJs when I want to transition. And I'll test it out. So over here I've created another hot cue over here. This one is a hot cue from an old mix, and sometimes I just like to keep those in. But here I just memorize that this is when I want to actually transition. So oh yeah, y'all can't really hear that. It's coming through my mic maybe a little bit right there, but I go through and test out those things. Another thing to keep in mind is a lot of the keys here are similar. Like I like to keep stuff in a similar BPM and a similar key for certain sections, but I will transition in and out of keys, based upon whether it sounds good ultimately, but also like using the circle of fifths, but also, yeah, like here you can see I break that rule by going from D to E minor, but in this transition, it's like a breakdown, an atonal breakdown into another atonal build that then has a key to it. So that's why I often create mix out sections where you can cut out the bass on the DJ mixer, so that way it becomes atonal, and it doesn't have a lot of key information to it. But there are other things where the key information is really important. Like these two songs, I think, flow really well into each other, and they're both in F minor. They're pretty different. Different things. I won't be able to play it in this, but here, actually, we'll just find it in here. Yeah, so this is a song I released on Shadow Tricks. It's like super minimal bass, but then I'll mix in the middle of this drop, like the intro to this next song. It's an unreleased song. And so this is like that atonal mix out section going along with this intro, but keeps that flow and the dance still going because of the drums of this section going along with the lack of drums in that section. Though oftentimes, like when it gets to here, I think a beat comes in. So by here, I will have, this also has some kicks. And so if I was to play them together, you know, they actually sort of line up here. I think that's why this transition is so good. But sometimes I'll have some transitions where the kicks don't really line up, and then I will actually cut out the low end of one of the tracks on the CDJs, just so that way people don't feel the kick of one of the tracks. So that way that the transition comes off a little bit smoother. I think this is no, that sort of works. I also I pay attention to how the kicks actually flow from one song to another. That's another thing that determines like what songs I'm mixing in between. But also I really like to do these long edits. Like this is a Sweet Shop, a Schlump remix of Sweet Shop by Dr. P. But then I mash it up with one of my own tracks, but then drop it into a false drop of a Grizz track, but then drop it into I think it's a Revlo track, Dirty. And so like this is an edit from another show, so I'm not sure if I can play. So there's the Schlump remix, and yeah, the Schlump remix. And so that's an edit of one of my builds, but it's being mixed in with the Schlump remix build.
Wait, give me something that's...
There's the Grizz part. And then
give me some.
And then there's the Dirty track. So it's like, but it's like a very similar drop, and so that's why I thought it was cool to like mix that in. And then yeah, you can see here lots of zeroed out things. These are other tracks I tried to edit into this section, but just didn't work out. Though I really wanted to play those tracks, it just didn't work for this set. I did go over an hour on this set. It was a headline set, so felt like I could do that. But I ended up actually playing live. I actually just sort of flowed in this section. I wasn't necessarily playing the things all in the particular order. I added in some tracks that I didn't include in this mix, and that's why over here I like to have my set with all the cue points ready, but then I'll have folders of like just the BPM, like 90 BPM here, that I put like the tracks that I know that aren't going to be in the set. like towards the top over here, so that way I can just sort of scroll through and be like, okay, what tracks have I not played in this BPM? And you can see here I've got the other BPMs, whatnot, and I'll load those all up onto the same USB. And I always do 2 USBs. I'll load both of them in just in case one of them gets corrupted or something like that. I like to be ready to switch it out. Yeah, so that's how I make little edits for live stuff. Yeah, switching in between things. Oh, like here, it was like a whole section I was planning on doing, but I just didn't include that in the live section. I didn't include this run of song, or I included these, but I didn't include this song in there, even though I planned on it. I was just feeling a different vibe in that particular moment. Here I'm mashing up an edit of a song that I did in the past with like a different part of the original. Like, yeah, I'm just always constantly making edits of stuff that I just sort of save for live things. Like here's this track's really popular right now. You know that one right there. But then I'll put that over the drop of one of my own songs. It's an unreleased house track of mine, but you know, I like doing little edits like that. Like got a Missy Elliott edit. I'm not gonna play that, get demonetized, but yeah, some Skrillex Cinema edit that, or actually no, this is a Alien. I forgot who it was, but someone's house side project that did a remix of Skrillex and Benny Benassi Cinema. I really liked the build of it, but then I drop into one of my own songs. And,
son, where'd you find this?
That one always goes nuts live. I love playing that one because it's always so unexpected, and it's at house BPM, but it's halftime. It's just so, yeah, super fun to play that one. Oh yeah, then I'll add in some pop songs. I cannot play that one on here. Yeah, you'll see here oftentimes there's like added in a breakdown that goes into the next song. Sometimes doing that too much, I've noticed, can make this like stop go kind of feel live. And there's always that balance between creating a continuous vibe, because if you just never let the beat like disappear, people get tired and they won't stay or dance to your set. So it's about that, finding that balance in between keeping the beat going and then letting, you know, a more ambient or musical moment take the forefront. And then yeah, also like here's like my rhythm-ish section of the live set, and I noticed that this section I don't really pay attention to key that much. If we look over here, yeah, although E flat and A flat do work well together because they're like a fifth apart, but E flat, A flat, and E was that A flat and E, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's not terrible, but yeah, the minor seconds can sometimes work if yeah, as long as like, yeah, I think there's more atonal kinds of things in these sections. But yeah, I didn't want to, I wasn't sure how much they want to do rhythm in this section, so I sort of kept each section pretty short. I did notice maybe the section was maybe a little rushed when I did play it out live, but I think people still loved it. It almost felt like one song, because I'd play like one drop and then there would be like a build up, and then the next one would be like another drop. So like that was like my song on Cyclops Records, and then into Killer Girl. I think I'd play this, or maybe I'd play this. But then like this section, I would like be filtering it out, like I'd be filtering from the low to the high end, so it'd get in my belly and then just disappear, and while this thing is sort of taking over the attention. And I'd set these up on different tracks. What else about live would be interesting to know? Yeah, making lots and lots of edits. You can basically see pretty much every song in here is an edit of some sort that I've made over the time. I guess, yeah, there's the original there. No, that's an edit I made too. I did edit out this section because like there's like this is another unreleased here in this song. It breaks down and then goes into a build-up, but just the flow of the set, I just got rid of that. And like it's a hard cut there, but it doesn't feel unnatural to me. So editing out the songs usually I just cut out like this whole 4-bar section right there, or however long that section is. Yeah, definitely check out my other video on breaking down Skrillex's live set, or how I break down other DJs' live sets. That's how I learned a lot of things that goes into my decision making on these things. And so this is a lot of a rhythmy section, and then I try not to play too much atonal stuff, and then I'll go into something more melodic, and then go back into some more bangers in this section over here, you know, to give it some variety, so it's not just a full thing of bangers the entire thing, because we do want to have some music in there, at least for me and when I play sets. But definitely like to bring the energy the entire time still, no matter what. Yeah, I think that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And also sometimes I will edit when I'm in here, like doing these edits. I will have moments where I'll edit EQ points and like automate the EQ points, and generally I'll automate on and off the EQs, so that way it only happens like during a certain section while the actual thing is going, because I noticed that if you just have an EQ on, it tends to mess up the sound a little bit. Also, when I do render it out, I try to unwarp it and render it at the native BPM. So sometimes, like, you know, when I have automated this transition here, I don't try to make it perfect in here, just a rough thing, because I make it perfect on the CDJs. But if I wanted to like render this section out, I'd maybe copy this and just paste that over, just so that way I can unwarp this without it changing length and whatnot, and I'd render that out, and then afterward I would rewarp it again and undo the automation and whatnot, have it go back, so that way it's like I don't mess up the renderings, because like even if you render it while the Warp Pro is on, like I do notice that it can sometimes mess up the quality of the track, so I try to render things while they're unwarped. That's another thing, that's an important one. All right, once again, any questions in the comments? Definitely check out my Ableton racks and all my sample packs if you haven't. I'll include a link to those in the description as well. All right, peace, aliens.